John Carpenter's 1982 film, The Thing, is without a doubt one of the greatest horror films ever made. We all know that now. But here's the crazy part. When it first came out, it was a total massive failure. So how on earth did a movie that was basically hated on arrival become this legendary stone-cold classic? Well, let's get into it. Okay, so you gotta picture this. It's the summer of 1982, and the box office is completely dominated by one alien, and it's E.T. Everyone fell in love with this sweet, gentle visitor from space. And then, just a couple of weeks later, another alien movie drops. But this one, well, this one was different. It was bleak, it was mean, and it was absolutely terrifying. And the public, who were all still basking in that warm, fuzzy E.T. glow, they pretty much ran screaming in the other direction. They picked the feel-good story, and the thing was dead on arrival. And it wasn't just the audiences. The critics were, absolutely brutal. Vincent Canby over at the New York Times called it instant junk. So this really sets the stage for one of the greatest comebacks in movie history. The film was a total outcast, which makes its legendary status today so much more interesting. So today, we're going to unpack this whole cinematic mystery. We'll look at how a bomb became a classic. We're going to try to define the, indefinable creature at its heart. Then we'll explore how the film is just this perfect engine for paranoia, dig into the deeper horror of the unknown, and finally, ask the big question: why does the thing endure? So first up, how in the world did this happen? How did a total flop become a masterpiece? Well, the answer is pretty simple: home video and cable TV. The film got a second life, a chance for people to discover its chilling genius on their own terms, far away from the shadow of E.T. And that's how it slowly built this massive, passionate cult following that saw it for what it truly was. Not just another monster movie, but something way deeper. Right, so to really get why this film has such a grip on people, we have to talk about the monster. Or whatever it is. What is the creature at the heart of this movie? That mystery is absolutely central to the horror. Which brings us to the million-dollar question, the one fans have been debating for decades. How does this thing actually work? We know it copies other life forms, sure, but what are the rules? What are the mechanics of this perfect, horrifying imitation? Okay, so piecing it all together, the leading theory goes something like this. It's basically a microbiological hive. It only takes one single cell to start the process, devouring and perfectly replicating a host. And here is the truly terrifying part. The copy is so perfect that it includes a mental emulation. This means the person being copied might still think they're them, totally unaware they aren't human anymore. But, as MacReady figures out, every single piece of it is also its own organism, just trying to survive. And that right there becomes the key. And you know what? This ambiguity was completely intentional. In the original story the movie is based on, Who Goes There?, the alien actually had a specific form. It was this telepathic creature with 3 red eyes and blue hair like crawling worms. But the filmmakers were smart. They knew that showing us that would be way less scary than showing us, nothing at all. Yeah, they leaned right into that ambiguity. They actually cut out some of the more obvious religious themes from the book, and get this, they even scrapped a whole sequence that would have shown us a microscopic view of the cells doing their thing. They just knew instinctively that the real horror was what we couldn't see, leaving all the most terrifying details up to our own imaginations. And this brings us to our next point perfectly, because as terrifying as the organism is, it's not the film's real weapon. The real monster here is distrust. This one line from MacReady, man, it just says it all. It's the moment the movie crystallizes. The second the crew realizes that anyone could be the creature, civilization just evaporates. Trust, the very glue that holds us all together, completely dissolves. It's gone. And that's exactly why this film feels so timeless. You can totally watch it as a Cold War allegory about spies hiding in plain sight, sure, but its themes just resonate in any era of division. The idea of an invisible enemy turning neighbor against neighbor, that felt disturbingly familiar during the COVID-19 pandemic, didn't it? It just proves how powerful the story is as a metaphor for social paranoia. There's actually a psychoanalytic term for this exact kind of creepy feeling. It's called the uncanny. It's a concept from Sigmund Freud, and it describes that deeply unsettling feeling you get when something super familiar, something you know and trust, suddenly feels weird and strange and alien. And The Thing is pretty much the perfect movie version of the uncanny. It's your friend's face, the voice of a guy you've worked with for years. These familiar, trusted things suddenly become the source of your absolute worst terror. The monster isn't some creature hiding in the dark. It's sitting right across the room from you, maybe even smiling. But the film's horror goes even deeper than just psychological paranoia. Its most profound, soul-shaking terror comes from what you can't see, what you can't understand, and what you have absolutely no hope of fighting. This is the horror of the unknown. This is what elevates The Thing from just a great monster movie to a true masterclass in cosmic horror. The fear isn't just about trying to stay alive. It's about that crushing existential dread you feel when you're faced with something so far beyond human logic, from a universe that is ancient, vast, and does not care about you at all. Palmer's reaction when Norris's severed head sprouts spider legs and just walks away, I mean, that says it all. That's the moment where human reason just shatters into a million pieces. The laws of biology, the rules of reality as we know them, they just go right out the window. This isn't just a monster, it's a complete violation of everything we think we know. And that is where the film's legendary practical effects come in. A 22-year-old kid named Rob Bottin created a creature that just defied every category of life we have. The transformations are this nightmare of guts and tentacles and limbs in all the wrong places. They aren't just gory for the sake of it. They're designed to look fundamentally wrong, creating this visual horror that our brains literally cannot compute. This brings us to a really cool academic idea called negative knowledge. The characters and us, the audience, we can never actually know what the thing is. We can only define it by what it isn't. Remember when Blair does the autopsy? He says, "That's not dog, it's imitation." He can't identify it. He can only identify its absence. The creature is literally a hole in our knowledge. And that, right there, is the core of the cosmic dread. We never, ever see its true form. The real horror isn't what's on the screen. It's the unrepresentable emptiness at the center of it all. It's a literal no thing that completely undoes not just the human body, but our entire grip on reality itself. So with all that in mind, let's bring it home. Why does The Thing endure? Why are we still talking about it, picking it apart, and being completely terrified by this movie so many decades later? Well, it really is a perfect storm. We've talked about how its themes of paranoia just never get old. It forces us to ask these deeply uncomfortable questions about what it even means to be human. And at its core, it's a brutal look at how thin the line is between civilization and pure barbarism. I mean, its influence is everywhere, from Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight to the monsters in Stranger Things. But ultimately, the alien isn't just some monster from space. It's a catalyst. It's a mirror that the film holds up to us, forcing us to look at the ugly parts of our own nature. The film's real, lasting terror is about us, about how fragile our society is, and how terrifyingly fast it all falls apart when we stop trusting each other. And that leaves us with one final, chilling question that the film poses. How do we know who's human? And in our world today, an age of AI, deepfakes, of rampant disinformation, of such deep social and political divides, that question is more relevant and, frankly, more terrifying than ever. What is our answer?